March is Women's History Month, and today we're going to meet a group of young women who started a club at Holliston High School. The club is called Women in Science and Engineering, and I think this is kind of a pioneering club, which I think is especially appropriate. I'd like you to introduce yourselves, please.
My name is Rita, and I'm in 9th grade.
My name's Emma. I'm a senior, and I'm the president of the club.
I'm Sahasra. I'm a junior, and I'm the vice president.
Okay. How did you guys get this idea?
So this club was around last year, but it was kind of like a new idea of sorts. It was made by a senior last year. Her name was Habisha. She's actually at Northeastern now. But I kind of like continued the club because I was in it last year. So it was mainly me and Sahasra this year. Kind of small, 2 people isn't really a club. So we used the club fair to really help out. We had a poster, Rita came around, so did some of our other members. So that's really how it started. And we're very close-knit, like 5 people, but I still think that's a little bit better because it's not like me delegating, it's all of us collaborating together, so.
Mm-hmm. What are your kind of goals, or what are you thinking? What do you want to do with the club?
So our goal is really to promote science, and so far, like through our events, we've been advocating for women in science and really for children in general, because like science isn't underrepresented, so we want to advocate for that.
Mm-hmm. And how would you go about promoting science to younger kids, younger girls? How do you want to do that?
I think kind of having like that sense of having a role model, which I think is kind of like what the club is for too, having that both, 1, having a figure to look up to, and 2, having a space to kind of like be free and like, you know, do your thing and explore science. But I also think, you know, doing things within the community really helps too as well, which is what we've been trying to do this year.
So you're getting a little exposure outside of the high school.
Yes.
And what was that event that you recently held?
So we had a STEM story time at the library, and we had about like 15 kids who came, and we read to them, and we did some fun science experiments, and it was really cool because I think the kids loved the engagement from like high school students that they could look up to.
Wow, what kind of science experiments did you do in the library?
Recently we did magic milk, so it's like you put milk in a bowl and then you drop some food coloring in it, and then you take like a Q-tip with just like soap on it, and then you just touch the milk, and then it kind of like spreads around, and there's a chemical reaction going on, which they don't really understand quite yet, but it's still kind of that idea of, oh, this is cool, like I want to learn more kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So we also did lava lamps, which was probably their favorite activity ever, because they can take it home too, so it's like something like kind of like a keepsake. But that one was more on density, which I think they can understand a little bit more. But
what is that? What is that experiment?
Oh, the lava lamp. So it's just like a plastic water bottle. All of us actually went around the school, like in the recycling bins, like taking out these plastic water bottles to use for that. But it's water, oil,
Alka-Seltzer, food coloring.
Yeah. And then once you drop like the Alka-Seltzer in, it creates those bubbles, and it'll separate because of the density difference. So that was one of their favorites by far. So, yeah.
Well, the engagement is the word. I like that. Yeah. Have you got some other things planned?
Yeah, we're hoping to kind of bring back the science fair at the middle school.
Oh, I remember that. That was fantastic. My daughter did that.
Yeah. So I didn't myself go to Rams, but I know Sahasra did. So we really want to bring that back, even if we can just like support it or kind of just like structure it and like let it go on. That's kind of what we're hoping. And maybe doing some nature walks with the elementary school to just kind of like the same thing, expose them and get the engagement up. So.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have an advisor that's kind of part of the club, or you guys are kind of on your own with it?
Well, Miss Balker, like she's a teacher here, and she helps us facilitate, like organize the events, and it's really nice.
So when did you sort of realize in your own lives that science and engineering was something you were interested in? Let's start with you, Rita.
Well, I have sort of always been interested in science, and since the moment like I went to a doctor's office, I was like, ooh, I want to be one of those. And sort of my passion for it has just grown over the years. So I don't even remember when I didn't have a passion for science.
Wow.
I feel like mine was a little bit more recent, but I had a really fun like 9th grade science teacher, and I feel like that was also one of the factors. But also both my mom and dad are both kind of in the science field. My mom was an oncology nurse, and my dad works at a pharmaceutical company. So I feel like it's always kind of been there, but in high school it really kind of like grew. So yeah.
For me, I feel like in 8th grade, there was like a class where we did a ton of fun experiments, and it really like made science a lot more fun, and it's something that I really want to do more of. And right now, like my goal is to become like a pediatric oncologist, like so we just like science related. So.
That's my other question was, obviously you want to, do you have any goals after you, in your adult life, how you want to take science? What about you, Emma?
I'm a senior, so I'm going to Rhode Island College next year to both play softball and study nursing. So I'm hoping to be a pediatric nurse. So it's like definitely in the science realm, but I definitely wanted to lean more medical, kind of like Rita. So yeah.
I've definitely always known that I want to be a doctor, but recently I've been doing a lot more research, and right now I know I definitely want to go to med school. I have a couple ideas, like I might want to be a psychiatrist or a gastroenterologist, but I'm not completely set. I don't want to block myself from other options.
You've got a long ways to go,
Yeah.
sure. A lot of opportunities to talk about, yeah. What about engineering? That's part of your, is there anything in the engineering realm that your club thinks about, or?
I mean, for us personally, it's not like one of our like big like. I mean, it's definitely within the club, and we're into like exploring it. And actually, at our past STEM story time, we did do an activity related to engineering because we haven't really implemented that yet. So we did. It's kind of like a pretty classic thing, I feel like, with a lot of elementary kids. But you take like spaghetti and marshmallows, and you tell the kids, okay, you have like 5 minutes, and we want you to build the biggest tower possible. And they get a kick out of that because it's a really big competition.
Yep.
And we did give them a little reward at the end, but I feel like it's just like the problem solving.
Yes.
Is a really important thing with engineering. So even like a little activity like that can still expose them to what engineering could be like. So.
Did you guys play with Legos?
We haven't yet.
We haven't yet, but yeah.
When you were little, did you ever do them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So kind of the same thing. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Do you have any personal, science mentors or people that you looked up to that you read about or something like that? Or anybody have those kind of heroines?
Growing up, I didn't really have too many medical role models for sure. I'd say like my parents were both more in like business development and stuff. But recently, I've definitely been looking more into people in my community and people that I see a lot, and trying to find people who I know are in the medical field. And also Miss Bowker, she's our advisor, but she's also another advisor for one of my other clubs, and she's also my advisory teacher. So I've sort of spent a good amount of time with her, and I've been able to like talk to her about stuff and figure out things that I can do now to make my future better.
That's great. You have someone that close that you can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Rita, I kind of lean on Miss Bowker too because she's involved in a lot of different things, and I feel like even though I want to go into nursing, I still want to be like dabble here and there in different things. But another one of my big role models is one of my pitching coaches, because she is a pitching coach, yes, but she's also doing research on like, the spin, like how you use your wrist, that kind of thing. So I feel like it's not very traditional, but my coach is working with different companies to figure out technology to better understand like pitching and how it works. So
that's really interesting. And pitching as far as women's pitching or just pitching in general?
Yeah, like women's pitching, like fast pitch, underhand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's very cool.
For me, me, I would have to say the same because like Miss Bowker was like, she was really like into creating this club, and when she like described like all of the things that she has done, like research, and before she started teaching here, and it was really interesting to like learn more about that. But also like historically, I feel like someone that I really like look up to is Marie Curie, because like I feel like she was like the first person, like I know in 5th grade, like she was the person I did for my like wax museum, and she was someone I've always looked up to.
I remember reading her biography when I was about in 5th grade, and it's an amazing life that she had. Yeah, and I always like reading about the people the women that worked in the original computing in World War II. Remember, they were in Washington, and those stories are very interesting. That they were able to do all and the rockets. They did the trajectories without calculators.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies is actually Hidden Figures.
Yes.
So yeah, that's one of my favorite movies.
That's a great bunch of role models. Yeah. Wow. So, do you have any advice to girls in Holliston about science? You know, if I had a daughter right now, you know, what would you tell her?
You know, I think I speak for all of us when I say, you know, like anything's possible. You know, find your people. That's kind of what we did. Find Miss Bowker, and also, you know, get active, get involved. Like, if you want something, you know, you got to go after it. So I feel like within our group, we kind of found people that have the same values, and I think that's helped us grow into like who we are and who we want to be too. So. Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks so much. And I am sure that we're going to hear a lot more from women in science and engineering. And good luck to all of you.
Yeah. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having us. Thank
You're welcome.
you.
For Heartbeat of Holliston, this is Chryso Lawless.